Right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the briefing session 01 for Global Management Challenge Student Championship India, the world's largest strategy and management competition. So it's a very important session, and I shall be discussing a lot of details in today's session to help students' performance in the competition and help your learning process, overall learning process in this competition. Having said that, I would be waiting for 5 more minutes for everybody to join in. So I request all the teams that if you're still waiting for your members to join, please ask them to join the session. You have to bear with me. It's gonna be a little long session of approximately 2 hours because we'll be doing some live calculations over the Excel. And that is our whole agenda. We need to understand how the companies, how we can take a better decision making, how we can achieve better decision making for our companies through basic calculations and understanding of the business principles. That would be the whole agenda. We'll discuss, important decision variables related to production. We'll discuss related to pricing. We'll discuss related to product quality, and we'll also discuss related to the agency distribution system. So I would be waiting for 5 more minutes, and it would be great if one of the participants could confirm me that whether my voice is clear, if I am properly audible or not.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that. So I would be waiting. So we'll start with a little very basic presentation just to give a little overview of what it is all about. Probably, so one thing we can confirm is that you guys are working on probably the world's most sophisticated business simulation, and we'll understand it more. We'll understand it how we can, perform better over this, how we can improve our results for the company, and that's where the learning outcomes would come at the end of the day. So if you have any doubt of, or if anybody wants me to make a note of anything that if they want me to explain during the session, I would take the notes right now, and I'll start the session sharp within the next 4-5 minutes. So if any participants wants me to make a note of or wants me to ensure that I touch upon this topic during the session, I would be happy to take a note of that. Any participant with any feedback of or any observation during the qualification round? The process is such that the real competition, the feel of the simulation would be, observed. The dynamism of the market would be observed probably from the round one. But still, if you have any important topic that you want me to explain during this session, I'll make a note of it. हेलो हेलो
हाँ बाहर भी निकल जाओ
हाँ बाहर भी निकलते हुए जो भी उस तरह ना जूनियर सीनियर
Also, I am sure that during the session you would have a lot of doubts. That is always there. So you can just feel free to stop me anytime. Let me know all your doubts. I'll answer them as and when applicable. And we'll try and ensure that most of the doubts are covered in this session. Also, if beyond the session, if you have more doubts, you can always connect with us through email, through WhatsApp, over call, and we'll help you, and we'll sort out all the doubts that you have, and we'll try and do it with as quickly as possible. I request the participants to please avoid using the chat box for raising the doubts, and instead of just mention it directly. So if Adeep, you can mention your doubt to me instead of putting it on the chat box.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I speak here directly?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, I had just little doubt. This interface we were using in previous rounds, will it be the same in the further rounds, or will it change? Like it was not a kind of dynamic interface. It was just a sheet kind of thing. That's
correct.
Why.
So the interface would remain the same, dear. What would change is your historical data in this round.
Okay.
So in round one, we would change the manual, and the interface would remain the same. What would change in this round is your historical data. basically it would feel now that you worked. So for example, you worked on a startup company in the qualification round. Probably you would be working with a non-startup company in round one. So is that clear, dear?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. So I think I'll start the session now, and just to give a little glimpse at what this is all about. So we are all aware that GMC, you have to run a company that operates in the global market and is as a senior management. And the process is simple. You organize in a team of 3 to 5 members, and you take control of a company as a senior management. One would take control of including departments like marketing, production, HR, finance. So all this we already know, we have learned it in the qualification round. I'm just giving a little overview again before I move to the Excel spreadsheet. And you have the manual. Manual is the most important document. The manual would remain same for the entire part of the competition. So all the variables, all the calculations are explained in the manual. Of course, we'll be conducting briefing sessions from time to time to help teams realize, or understand and improve their performance and understand how a particular department works or how a particular decision variable it's getting affected or getting calculated. You had a feedback on the website. You were able to use it in the qualification round. So this part is done. Also, you realized that at the start of the competition, the teams would be drawn into a group. A group is an individual market. So you could have a maximum of 8 teams in a group. So we would, within few days, we'll share the details of the round one on what would be the group size and how many qualifications from round one would be how many teams from round one from each group would be qualified to round two. So we'll do this. It is again on a completely random basis that the group allocation is done. We have all seen this. Just what is important is that each group is independent. So a performance of team in group one is not affecting the performance of teams in group two, but it is affecting the performance of other teams in group one. And I think we have realized that through our experience in the qualification round by now. This is very important. This is the competition cycle that we have all experienced, and it would remain the same way in the round one as well. You are provided a set of company history, which is nothing but the last 5 quarterly reports that outline how the company has worked in the previous 5 quarters. So we are given this historical data. What happens in each round of GMC is that this historical data would change. So basically, it would be like an experience would be working on a different business scenario or a different business cycle of the company. So it is, and we would also increase the complexity of the history. So probably this round you will have a more complex company history than what you had in the round one, and in the qualification round. Sorry, and I'll show you how you could have performed better in the qualification round and what important decisions the team could have taken. So you analyze the historical data, and then you have to run the company for next 5 quarters. So you have to make decisions. You have to take decisions for the next quarter. The decisions are submitted to the simulation, which would run it, evaluate it, and generate a management report for the company. And this process is repeated for 5 quarters. What is important over here is to understand is that when you have the 5 historical data, you will analyze these 5 historical reports to take decisions for the next quarter. Once you take this next quarter, a report is generated, and that along with the previous 5 quarterly reports will form your history for the next quarter, and so on, so on. So this process we have all understood. We have experienced it now. I don't think there is much. Yeah. Hello. Okay. So I don't think there is much explanation needed from this on my side, but just for the sake of overview, we are going through this. These are the 75 decision variables that we have to take. We would be discussing them in detail in today's session over the Excel sheet. But this variable, this form, everything would remain same in the round one. So the variables would remain the same. Probably when the company changes, so your values, your requirements would change accordingly. And then we have all seen how the management report is generated by the simulator. It has consist of 4 parts: decision sheet, resources and products data, financial statements, and your group information. So we have all experienced that by now. And finally, the variable that we use for the calculation of the company's performance is called investment performance. of course, at the end of the session, I'll spend some time on the investment performance, on how we can, how this variable is getting calculated and how we can improve it in favor of our company. We also know that the company that we are working with is selling 3 products in the market: product 1, product 2, product 3, and it is selling in European Union, dollar market, NAFTA, and through the website, through the rest of the world, through the internet. So, but the company is based in Europe, so the production is taking place in Europe. We have a marketing department that is responsible for taking decisions related to advertising, marketing, pricing, sales and product availability, product quality, and research and development. And also we have to establish a distribution channel through the form of agents and distributors, and also through the internet distributor in form of the website. Of course, I will discuss more in detail on the agents and distributors over the Excel sheet as well. Then probably comes a very important department, is the production department. So we'll see how to plan our production. So I'll spend, probably this is the topic where I would be spending the most amount of time in today's session, is on the production planning, on how we can better streamline our production, better ensure that, how machining and assembling are related, how all the calculations behind it are taking place, and how how much time and how much what is the capacity and everything, for what is our machining capacity, what is the assembly capacity. So I'll be, probably this is the topic wherein I would be spending most of my time. Another important department is the HR department. So as a senior management, probably we have to understand the importance of the HR, and this is one department that is always gets neglected. But trust me, after your experience in Global Management Challenge, you'll understand the importance of HR, and we'll again see a very, during the session, probably I'll get some problems in front of you, which probably you will face in the next round as well, especially related to the HR department. And then we have to talk about finance, but probably finance I would not be doing in this session. Finance we would be doing in the briefing session too. So this is something that the students have to figure out themselves for this round. I will not disclose all the topics so that I don't take away the competition integrity from it. The teams that are able to figure out the details should have a certain advantage at the end of the day. So this is what we would be doing. So before I move towards the Excel sheet, is there any doubt among the participants?
Just one doubt. If I'm audible. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, please.
I'm still unable to decipher as to what the case will entail. I mean, you want us to focus on these 5-6 aspects of the functional dimension and the functional domains in terms of HR, finance, and all, or like what is the case like primarily based on? There'll be some proposition, USP, problem statement, something of sorts that we need to focus upon, right? It's a bit unclear to me as of now.
Okay. So Vansh, the concept of this program is that you have a very strong business simulation that allows you to take control of a company as its senior management, correct? Just stay with me on this, right? Hello?
Sure. Okay.
Right. Now, in this process, you are taking control of the company as a senior management, and when you do so, you have to take important decisions for the company, which are primarily related to these 4 departments, which is your marketing, HR, finance, and production. Right. Now, the case that we give you is the historical data. So when we give you a set of history, that covers, so few details are written into it, which the company was probably facing in the past quarters, or which are there, which you now have to find them out and remedy them. Right.
Okay, so basically it's an extension of the first round of simulation that you've given. Like earlier it was about operations, now it's about decoding what issues the company is.
What we did in qualification round is over. The round 1 would be a fresh start for everyone, but with a different set of history. The history means is that the company has already operated in the past. So we've given you the last 5 quarterly reports for the data for the company, right? Now you are the new senior management of the company, and you have to lead the company from the next quarters. And this, you have to do it in a dynamic environment where the other companies are also working on the same company, other teams. right? So now the better your decision making process is, the better results you will achieve for your company. So that's the whole competition is all about. Did you follow me, dear? Vansh, did you follow me on this? Okay, I'll take Karthik doubt first, and then I think.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah.
My doubt is almost similar to what Vansh asked before. Like, just want to reconfirm it. Like, we entered the last decisions with like our values, right? Will that values carry forward?
No, so that's what I've mentioned here. This historical data is probably the business statement that we have given you. So basically, what we are giving is the last 5 quarterly reports. Now, those quarterly reports already have some problems hidden into them, or it could be economic factors, it could be production factors. Like, for example, in the history that we gave you, if you would have analyzed it, if you've seen and I'll discuss in this session as well, probably one of the factor that we gave you was that your production departments were not well streamlined. Now you had to sort that out. You had to understood, you had to take, that was your challenge as a senior management. How do you manage those resources? And then you have to do it in a competition with other teams that are also working on the same problem statement and in a dynamic market.
Okay. Okay. It is like, suppose just want to reiterate this, like we are having 5 machines in our company. So that 5 machine and the employees which we hire will be similar, right? Or will that also be resetted?
Everything is reset now.
Okay.
Everything, round 1, separate history. Only thing that remains same is the manual, the calculations, and your decision form, everything, the management report, everything remains same. But what changes is the company's historical data. So basically, it means that you're now altogether working on a different set of problem, on a different business case study, on a different company. So like I mentioned, that probably you worked on a startup company in the qualification round, probably we'll do a non-startup company in this round.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Got it? Any
Got
other
it,
doubt?
sir.
Hello, sir. Abhishek this side. So,
Yeah.
not a doubt actually, sir. I have joined like a couple of minutes late.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you have already discussed this, but sir, can you please tell us like how will the levels will be going forward? Like now, if as per the mail, we have 91 teams. So, what would be the way forward, sir? How is it going to? what is
Abhishek,
the-
nothing
Yes.
on competition format in this briefing session. Nothing. This
Okay.
is for a learning process. We'll talk this after the session. You can email me. We'll clarify that or something. We can talk about it, but nothing on the competition format in the briefing session.
Done,
This
sir.
is
Thank you.
where we'll spend more time on the learning and we'll try and see how to improve our decision-making process.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Any other doubt before I move to the Excel sheet? Okay. So guys, I have taken the same report that was provided to you. So it's more or less same. It's the same startup company that was given to you, and you had these 4 reports: the decision sheet, the resources and products data, the financial statements, and your group information. Right. So this is the same data that we had. So we'll now and see that what was the problem in this particular case study, with this particular company, what were the major challenges that were presented in front of you, and then how we have to take, particular decisions in our company's favor. So in this session, I would be primarily focusing on pricing. I would be focusing on quantities to deliver. I would be focusing on product quality, and I shall be focusing on agents and distributors. And if time persists, I'll go into more details with other few decision variables as well. But these are my 4 prime targets to go through in this session. Right. And we'll start with this pricing decision variable first. All right. Okay. So just to confirm, if one of the participant can confirm me if the Excel sheet is visible. And
Yes, sir, it's visible.
okay, right. And if I am properly audible, because this is important, we'll be doing these calculations over it. So I have to know that everything and all the details are visible over here. Now you have this 15 Q1, and this is the pricing that the company decided to. It is, so product 1, we are selling in Europe at 325 euros. For product 1 in NAFTA, we are selling it at 335 euros. For product 1 in internet, we are selling it at 375 euros. For product 2 in Europe, we are selling it at 490 euros, and NAFTA and so on, and internet so on. So this was the pricing that was given to us. Now we also realized in the qualification round that the exchange rate mentioned in the previous quarterly report would be the exchange rate applicable in the next quarter. So for example, if in my 15 Q1 report, I get an exchange rate of 0.90 in my group information section, this exchange rate would be applicable in 15 Q2. Right? So my exchange rate in my 14 Q4 was 0.91, and this was my exchange rate applicable in 15 Q1. Right? So that means at this exchange rate, my pricing in 15 Q1 for NAFTA and internet would be because in NAFTA and internet we sell our goods in US dollars, so it becomes as 368. It becomes as $412 on the internet. So I have just simply divided this pricing in euros by this exchange rate to get my pricing in US dollar. Now let's say in 15 Q1, the exchange rate reduces to 0.90. It depreciates now. And let's say I keep my pricing constant. My product in US dollar becomes in US market and internet becomes expensive for my customer unknowingly, because I have not adjusted my prices in favor of the exchange rate. So now my product is $4 expensive for my customer in NAFTA, and in internet it is $4.58, and this is respect to product 1, and this is respect to product 2, and this is respect to product 3. Again, very simple mathematics and very, very basic calculation that we have just started with. Simple assumption that the question is that the question to all the teams is that did we use the exchange rate in our pricing strategy? It is something I didn't observe much in the reports we saw. And probably when you're working in a global market, exchange rate is probably the most important factor when we are discussing our pricing. And you can now feel it. You can now realize it. So probably unknowingly, because of this change in exchange rate, our products in market of Europe and in NAFTA and internet has become expensive. Now there could be other way around also. Probably the exchange rate, instead of decreasing, it could have increased also. Now, if it would have appreciated, then my pricing in NAFTA and internet would have become cheaper. At the same price, my product would have become more easy to buy for the customer, and this would have been the difference in that case. So now clearly, unknowingly, I missed an opportunity wherein I could have increased my prices in NAFTA and internet to ensure that I can sell at the same prices for my customer. So the price for my customer remains the same, but I could have increased my profit in euros through this because I could have taken an advantage of this change in exchange rate. Now the question now I have a question for all the teams after this analysis. Would you as a senior management would like to keep your price constant, or would you like to keep the price for the customer constant? If anybody would like to take a guess at it.
Price for the customer constant.
Customer constant, sir.
Okay. Any other argument to that? Okay. So yeah, please go ahead.
So for minor corrections, I'd keep it for the customers because otherwise it will become too sensitive. But for major corrections, I'll keep it. I'll also have to take care of the production costs and everything.
So probably I think I think that this is where we have to be a little, business oriented, wherein I mentioned I cannot be, constant with one strategy. Probably when the exchange rate is depreciating, like in this case, probably I might take a little hit on the company and make sure that the price is little constant for the customer. And at the same time, when the exchange rate depreciates, I might take an advantage of it and increase my pricing so that because this does not have an impact on my customer, because he would end up buying at the same pricing. So it has to be a mix and match of both the products, and it is applicable in real life. So both the pricing strategies are applicable in real life. So when I say a product like an iPhone or an McDonald's burger, so the pricing is constant every day. The pricing on day one is same as pricing on day two, but the exchange rate is changing every day for the company. And on the other hand, you have a product like gold, which changes on a daily basis with regard to the changes in the exchange rate. So that is one important decision variable. This is one way of how you have to manage your pricing. You keep the price constant for the company or price constant for the customer. That is your call as the senior management. How do you use it? How do you strategize it? That is your call. That is something I cannot explain in this session. But what is important to see is that if we are not, if we are not adjusting our prices, probably in this case, we could have lost few sales. And probably in this case, we could have lost a few margin or few income on our revenue. Any doubt on this pricing versus exchange rate now?
So I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Like when we see that there is a cost of delivery to NAFTA region. So
There is a, sorry dear.
There is a cost to deliver the products to NAFTA region.
Okay.
Like in previous briefing sessions, we discussed about that. We calculated that was around 10 to 11 for product one and around
You're
20.
mentioning about the last year's competition, dear, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So then how do we, like initially, if the prices are given constant for both the regions, like Europe and NAFTA, the prices are same. Like in this, there is a difference. Like see, for example, the product two, 490 for both the areas. Then if there is a difference in the pricing or the cost to company, and I want to incorporate that in the prices also. So how do I do that?
Okay. So the doubt I get is, one is, by the end of this session, you would realize that this was a wrong pricing that was given to the teams. And this is a wrong pricing that was given, especially in relation to agents and distributors. So when I'll discuss agents and distributors, we'll see that the pricing was wrong. Now, coming to your doubt, I have to mention just one thing, that your cost of selling in NAFTA is more than your cost of selling in Europe. So ideally, you cannot have the same price in NAFTA in Europe. Right?
Right.
Right. And you would probably, and that is something, and probably I think one way of doing that is, yes, you have to add all the costs. So like you mentioned, that the logistics cost of shipping to NAFTA is higher than shipping, because there is no shipping involved in Europe. So you have to add that cost in your pricing in the NAFTA, and ensure that, at least, because if the pricing is in Europe and NAFTA is same, then it is an injustice to the agents in Europe that are paying the same price compared to the distributors in NAFTA. Right. And then you have to also see that Europe is your main market, which is primarily where you are based at. Right.
But there is also caveat to this. No? When we raise the prices from the NAFTA region, the sales go down.
Again, dear, I think I cannot go too beyond on this briefing session, because for the other participants, we have to keep this doubt. I think I can explain it further in private, but I would not like to go beyond the briefing session topics, so that all the participants are on board with it. Right?
Okay, sir.
Right. So any doubt related to the pricing and product pricing and exchange rate? All right. the next set of decisions that I would probably be spending the most amount of time on this session is the quantities to deliver. Now, I have a fundamental question over here with all the teams. That is the question over here is, what is it asking? Is it asking how many quantities I want to sell in the market, or how many quantities we should manufacture and supply to the market? What is the question asking over here?
Manufacturing and supply.
One at a time, guys. One at a time, please. Yeah. If anyone,
It's how many of the production we are going to do.
okay. Any other guess?
That's the number.
How many quantities we are going to supply to the agents and distributors?
Okay.
Sir, it's basically about how much the company can produce based on the assembly and the machines that they have, the production capacity. So it's about the supply and not the demand, because we cannot predict the demand. So it's about how much we can produce to deliver to our agents or distributor in NAFTA or Europe.
Correct. So, and this is important because whenever a company has to take a decision, the only variable that you can control is your supply. You cannot predict the demand. And this is a common question that I had during the qualification round from the teams that, how can we predict the demand? You can never predict the demand. You can only see the historical data and you can do the analysis based on it, that probably whether the demand would go up in this quarter, or let's say if we are, advertising more, if we are increasing our advertisement budget, then probably, it would increase our sales. So probably I need to increase my supply. Or for example, if I go to my resources and products data, if I have a backlog of orders, like in this case in NAFTA, so probably NAFTA, I need to increase my supply. But if I have a warehouse stock, maybe, and even though it's a very small warehouse stock, so maybe I might need to cut down my, I might not have to increase my supply. So the question that is asked in front of you guys is, it's how many quantities we can deliver, we have to supply to the market. And now when I have to decide on my supply, I have to see it as per according what is allowed as per my production planning, and how much my factory can produce in-house. That would determine what is my, what is my maximum production capacity. So before that, we understood that in production, there are two processes involved. One is machining and the other is the assembly. So first, I will do the basic calculation for machining, and then I'll do some basic calculations for assembly, and then we'll try and compare what is the quantity that is possible through both machining and assembly. So because both the capacities have to match. If my machining is not matching with my assembly, then the product would not be finished. The production would never happen for that difference in assembly capacity, in the capacity. So we will understand this machining capacity, and we will also understand more calculations on this assembly, and we'll also go on these wages calculations for machinist and assembly. So this is very important discussion here, very detailed discussion here. And probably this is where you are most of the teams are struggling and had most of the doubts in the qualification round. But before I start the discussion, any doubt before this? Okay. So feel free to stop me anytime during this explanation. Feel free to stop me. I shall clarify the doubt as and when you raise. And just try and follow me on how a particular decision, on how a particular calculation is taking place. So let's start with machining. So for machining, you were given at the end of the fifth quarterly historical data, you were provided with 4 machines. So that means your company already had 4 machines. Now, as a senior management, you have to take a decision at which shift level you have to work on. Shift level 1, shift level 2, shift level 3. Can any participant tell me what is the difference between shift level 1, shift level 2, shift level 3?
We have more machine time available.
Okay. So if I'm working on shift level 1, that means my factory is operating only 8 hours a day. If I'm working on shift level 2, my factory is working on 2 shifts of 8 hours a day. So that means total 16 hours a day. And if I'm working on 3 shifts, that means my factory is working on 24 hours a day, 8, all 3 shifts in a day. Now there is this table that specifies the total number of hours that we can work in each shift. So if I'm working on single shift, I can do a total of 420 hours on Monday to Friday. And then additional, I can do 84 hours on Saturday. And then additional, I can do 72 hours on Sunday. That means if I am working on shift 1, my total machining hours per machine are 576 hours. Right. Now, since I had 4 machines, that means my total machining capacity would become 2,304 hours. So I've just multiplied 576 by 4. If I decide to work at double shift, I can work 420 into 2 on Monday to Friday, because 420 into 2, which would be 840. Then on Saturday, I can do 42 into 2, which becomes as 84. And on Sunday, I can do 72 into 2, which becomes as 144. And accordingly, I get total as 1,068 hours per machine in a double shift. So that makes my machining capacity with 4 machines is 4,272 hours. And if I use triple shift, that increases my production capacity to, so again, 420 into 3, which comes as 1260, 442 into 3, which comes as 126, 72 into 3, which comes as 216. That makes my machining capacity per machine as 1,602. Again, multiplied by 4, I get a machining capacity as 6,408 hours. So if we go on Saturday and Sunday, that means we are going on overtime. So Monday to Friday is the regular working hours. But let's say we need more capacity, we need more than 420 hours, so the machines would work on Saturday. If we need more than 500 hours, the machines would also work on Sunday. So this is but this is the maximum limit that is allowed by the company for the working of the machines. Is this machining capacity calculation clear now?
Sir, can you please repeat what you said about when Saturday will be used, when you are having 400 plus hours, right? And Sunday, if it is
420 plus hours. So don't worry on that. We'll do that calculation in the bottom.
Okay, sir.
Don't worry on. But what I meant is that it is, so the Monday to Friday, if let's say my production capacity is, let's say if I work only on Monday to Friday in shift 1, that means I get my production capacity as 1680 hours, right? Correct. So if my machining time required is less than 1680 hours, I will only work on Monday to Friday. I will not go on Saturday. Right? Is your doubt answered here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, what is mentioned in the manual is that for per machine, we need 4 machinist workers. Now, these machinist workers are the unskilled workers. So in case of shift 1, we would only need 16 workers, 4 into 4. In case of shift 2, we would need 4 into 4 into 2, because we would need different set of workers for the second shift. And in case of triple shift, we would be needing 48 workers, which is 4 into 4 into 3. So so these are the number of total unskilled workers that we would need, if depending on the shift level and the number of machines we wish to operate within our factory. Now, how is the recruitment of this machinist workers taking place? So clearly in your data, you don't have a decision to recruit machinist workers. So what is happening is that this machinist workers, so let's say if I go to my resources and products data, so at the end of the available for your next quarter is only 27. So that means if I have only 27 machinists available, and let's say I want to go with shift 2, then I need 5 more workers to recruit. So this would be automatically recruited at the start of the quarter. So unskilled machinist workers are automatically recruited. You don't have to take a decision for that. If you have 27 and you decide to go with shift level 2, that means if in your decision sheet, you decided to go with the shift level 2 over here, 5 machinist workers would be automatically recruited from the market unskilled workers would be automatically recruited because they are readily available in the market, and the cost of recruitment would be 1,000 euros added to your income statement. If I decided to go with the triple shift, then automatically 21 workers would be recruited to ensure that I have at least 48 workers. So going from one shift to another has no repercussions on the recruitment. The recruitment would be automatically provided to you. Is this right? But if I instead of, so currently the company was operating at shift 2. Now let's say I decide that I want to go on shift level 1. I want to reduce it to shift level 1. In this process, I need only 16. So that means I have to get rid of at least 11 machinist workers. So what is mentioned in the manual is that you cannot fire all the 11 workers at one time. So in 15 Q2, first the half of this would be fired, which would make 6. So that means I would have remaining 5 machinist workers. Then in 15 Q3, the half of 5 extra workers would be fired, provided that again in 15 Q3, I go ahead with shift level 1 and I don't need more machinist, right? So that would means I would end up with 2. This one would go in 15 Q4, and again the one would go in finally in 16 Q1. So that means the cost of reducing a shift is very high. That means if I reduce my shift level from 2 to 1, right? If I reduce my shift from 2 to 1, I have to, at the end of the day, I have to pay at least salaries to 5 machinist workers without making them work. I have to pay salaries to 2 machinist workers in 15 Q3 without any work from them. And I have to pay salaries to machinist in 1 machinist in 15 Q4 before asking them making any work from them, not getting any work from them. And also there would be a cost of dismissal, which would be 2,000 euros that I have to pay. For this, in this case, I would be paying 2,000 euros for all these 11 workers that I fired. So is this machining part clear? Clearly, now you can see how we could have we need to strategize our decision making, how we have to understand the cost of every decision that we take would have a certain cost to the company. Now it is our objective that we optimize that cost, we minimize that expense, we don't lose any extra cost, we don't get a company beyond any extra cost to the, we don't get any extra cost to the company, and we use our resources to the best possible limit, right? Let's, if any doubt on machining now. Okay, I'll move to the assembly workers now. So now comes the next part of my production cycle, which is the assembly. So I have machined the raw materials and I have components with me available. So the semi-finished goods are called components, and now the components have to be assembled to make the finished good, and the assembly is done by assembly workers. Now, as per my resources and products data, I had 21 assembly workers available at the start of this quarter for the next quarter. That means in 15 Q2, I could have done I had 21 workers for my assembly. Now, what is mentioned is that unlike machinist, you have the option to choose which shift level you want to operate at. Assembly workers work only on single shift. That means they would only work on Monday to they would only work on 8 hours a day. So there is no option of double and triple shift for the assembly workers. So that means a maximum that the assembly worker can work is 420 hours on Monday to Friday, 84 hours on Saturday, and 72 hours on Sunday. That makes my total assembly hours per worker is 576. So that means if I have 21 workers, my total assembly capacity would be 21 into 576, which comes as 12,096 hours. Right? Is this doubt clear? Is this assembly capacity calculation clear? Clearly, in case of 17, you had this, you recruited for 21, and now you have increased your assembly capacity to 12,096 hours. So is my calculation for machining capacity and assembly capacity clear?
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, as you have mentioned that for machining, for machinist, we don't need to explicitly take a decision that how many machinists we want to recruit. Even
Correct.
if we have some shortage of machinists, the system will automatically take the decision for that.
Correct.
So let's suppose I am 5 short of the number of machinists I want for the second shift, as in this case,
Yeah.
like machinists recruited 5. So
Okay.
will the number 32 like will be displayed in the next quarterly report?
Yes. So when you will see this report, so you would at the start of quarter, this 27 would come at the top,
Okay.
right?
Yes,
And this recruited would have 5 to ensure that you have 32 workers
this will be taken by the system automatically.
automatically. Correct.
Okay.
But for assembly workers, we have to
I
take a
need to.
decision
Okay.
to recruit
Got
them.
it. Got it.
All right. Any other doubt? Now, this is where we get to the fundamental problem for the company. Now, what is mentioned in the one of the table is that the minimum machining time is 60 minutes for product 1, 75 minutes for product 2, and 120 minutes for product 3. And the minimum assembly time is 100 minutes for product 1, 150 minutes for product 2, and 300 minutes for product 3. Now, let's say I want to manufacture, let's say I go at shift level. I go at 2 for machining. Now, let's say I want to manufacture 2000 quantities of product 1, 1500 quantities of product 2, and 1000 quantities of product 3. So that means if I multiply this by this and convert them into hours. So I have multiplied 2000 by 60 and also divided by 60 to get them into hours. So this is my total machining time that I need, which comes as 5,875 hours. Whereas my assembly comes as, again, I have multiplied this by the minimum assembly time. Of course, this assembly time would be with respect to the decision. So in this case, I have decided that my assembly time for my product should be 115, 165, 325. So basically, this is the minimum, this is the minimum assembly time that is required, but I can put more time into assembly to improve the better quality of product, which would increase. So I can ensure that my product is assembled in a better way. But for the sake of the calculation, I have gone with the minimum time right now. But again, the assembly time would be calculated on the basis of the decision that we take in this decision over here. The machining time in this case, even though I have taken as the minimum 60 minutes, but again, this would be dependent on the machine efficiency, which is mentioned here 95.2. So for example, if for product 1, if my machine time is 60 minutes, then because of this machine efficiency of 95.2, the actual time that is required to manufacture our product 1 would be this divided by 95.2 and this into 100. So actually the required machine time that is coming is 63 minutes, but for the sake of our calculation, I have gone with the base minimum time that is allowed for machining and assembly. So is this table clear on how I have calculated the machine time and assembly time now? Again, just to repeat, this is the minimum time given to us. Even in real life, it would not, this would only happen, this machine time would be only possible at 100% machine efficiency, but 100% machine efficiency is not possible. The machines are depreciating with each quarter and also reducing their efficiency, though the time for required on manufacturing of one product on machines would also increase in each quarter. The way of calculating is you have to just simply divide 60 minutes by the machine efficiency into 100 and you will get your machine efficiency for your machine time for product 1. And for assembly time, you would take a decision on how much time you want your workers to spend on the assembly of each product, which cannot be less than 100, 150 and 325. Right. So now at shift level 2, if I go ahead with this particular quantities, this production capacity was not possible because I required 5,875 hours, whereas the maximum machining that I can do is 4,272 hours. But this was possible with the assembly. That means in case of assembly, this 12,096 hours was easily possible. So clearly, if I go ahead with shift level 2, I cannot produce this quantity. But let's say if I reduce my quantities to 1500 for product 1, 1150 to product 2, and 600 for product 3, I get this as my production capacity, total time required for machine and assembly. And now both the times are in green. That means both the hours are possible if I again run my factory at shift level 2. So this was one problem statement that we gave you, that your machining and assembly capacity were not matching each other. Is this particular explanation clear?
So can you please repeat once? Couldn't just follow.
Which part here?
Sir, how is 5876? How are you coming up with that number?
Okay.
Exactly.
So let's say I decided that I want to supply 2000 quantities. So this is my supply. The sum of all these quantities is my supply for product 1. The sum of all these quantities that I decide is my supply for product 2. And the sum of all these 3 quantities is my supply for product 2. Correct.
Yes, sir.
Now what is mentioned is that the minimum machine time required for product 1 is 60 minutes. For product 2 it's 75 minutes. And for product 3 is 120 minutes. Right. So I simply multiply 2000 by 60 minutes. I will get my machine time. Of course, I've converted it into hours.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Got it. And the same I have done for the assembly time.
Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, without
Yeah.
sir, like it was observed that during the last qualification round, our machine efficiency was continuously, like after each quarter, it was decreasing by some percent. So like
Correct.
what could be the reason, or how can we improve that part also?
So one is machine efficiency would go down every quarter. So this is something that you cannot control, right? Because the machines are getting older and older day by day. So now there are 2-3 ways you can do this. One is the lower shift level you operate at. So let's say if I operate at shift level 1, I will achieve a higher machine efficiency compared to if I operate at shift level 2. Secondly, you know, you could sell off your older machines and buy new machines to achieve a higher machine efficiency. Right. So if I decide to sell my old machine, so the oldest machine would be automatically sold from the company, and the new machine would come with 100% efficiency, which would again increase my average efficiency for all the machines, right?
Yes.
So does that answer your query?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Right. Any other doubt before I move further? So one thing is for sure. Yeah. If any doubt.
Yes, sir. I had a doubt, like how do we calculate about the why are people leaving our system? Like we see
I would come to that. I would come to that. Don't worry. I would come to that. After this, you would see what is the problem statement that we gave you. Right. Okay. Now clearly this much quantity is not possible. So I have to increase it to shift level 3 to make it happen, or I have to, you know, either reduce my quantities. In this, for the sake of the example, I have reduced my quantities to deliver. So I've reduced it from 2000 to 1500, 1500 to 1150, and 1000 to 600 quantities for product 3. And I have in this, again, I have taken the assembly time that you have taken as a decision in your decision sheet, that this is the number of minutes I want to spend on my assembly of my goods, right? So again, I do the basic maths. I multiply the quantities with the machine time. I multiply the quantities with the assembly time. I get the machining and the assembly times for each product. I sum them up. I get 4,137.50 as the machining capacity, and 9,287.5 as my hours as my assembly capacity. Again, both are possible within my limit of production. Right now, so I can go ahead with this line of production. That is clear. Now it is your decision that if you want to ensure that no, I want to supply as 2000 quantities only. So probably it is your management decision that you might have to increase your shift level of machining, or maybe you might start buying new machines so that you can achieve this supply in probably in the next quarter. Right. So that is a management decision that you have to take. So I either I increase my shift or I buy a machine, that is a management decision that you have to take, right? Now, very important is the salary calculation and the HR department that we'll discuss in relation to this now. So this is the total machining time that I want to achieve, and this is the total assembly time that I need to require to achieve, right? So if my total machinist time is coming as 4,137.5, that means my total machinist time would be this multiplied by 4, because for every hour the machine works, there would be 4 hours of machinist that would be required, because for one machine you need 4 machinists. So that means if my machine works for 1 hour, I have to pay the salary to my machinist for 4 hours, correct? Is this part clear on how, why?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now if I have to, so I get my total machinist hours as this multiplied by 4. And now if I divide it by my total machinist, so if I am working on double shift, I have 32 machinists. So now if I divide this by 32, I would get my total number of hours I need that to my machinist to run, which comes as, so I, for the sake of round off, I have taken it as 518, right? So that means my machinist would be working 518 hours in a particular quarter. So that means clearly only working on Monday to Friday will not help them. So they have to work on Monday to Friday as well. Then as per this table, they can work for additional 42 hours on Saturday. So that is again adds up to 462. But since I need 518, so that means they have to now work on Sunday as well. So again, that means, so the balance remain as 56 hours. So they would be working 56 hours on Sunday. So basically my machinist would be working 100% on Monday to Friday, 100% on Saturday, and a little approximately 70-80% on Sunday as well, which is 56 hours out of the maximum permitted of 72 hours. Yeah. So did you see how I did this breakup of per hour? Did you any doubt on how I got this machinist hours breakup on Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday?
Sir, is this for only single shift, like the first 8 hours?
First 8 hours as in here?
Like in this case, we are considering shift 2, right?
Yeah.
So the number of hours is 518. So 420 will be for first shift or double the shift.
This is per worker day. So if I am working on double shift, and okay, go ahead. Again, follow me. If I am working on double shift, I can do a maximum machining of 4,272 hours, correct? To achieve these quantities, right, I need 4137.50 hours, so which is possible, right? Which is possible in the double shift. Now, this much of machining was only possible in double shift. So that has already been accounted when I am calculating this total hours. Now, simply what I have done is, so this, if my machine has worked for 4,137.5 hours, that means my machinist have worked for 16,550 hours, because for one machine, I need 4 workers. So if my machine runs for 1 hour, I have to pay my salary for 4 hours of machining, correct? Ashish, did you follow me there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means if my total machine time is 4,137.5 hours, that means my total machinist time would be 16,550 hours.
Correct.
Now this time has been done by total of 32 workers equally.
Yes. Yes.
So I have divided it by 32. That means my each worker has worked for 518 hours. It does not matter the shift. Each worker, irrespective of the shift, has worked for 518 hours, correct?
Got it. Got it.
And now just I have, based on the simple hours that I have allocated, I have distributed them on the Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday basis.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it, sir. Thank you.
Got it? Okay. Now let's do the same calculation for assembly. Now for assembly, the total assembly time comes as 9,287.50 hours. I had total assembly workers I had available were 21. So that means if I divide this figure by 21, I will get my number of the assembly time or the assembly hours that each worker has to employ for, I have to employ for, which comes as 442. For the sake of the calculation, we have taken 443. So that means in this case, they would be working 420 hours on Monday to Friday, and the remaining 23, they would be working on Saturday. So in this way, I can simply get the breakup of my hours of my machinist and assembly workers on how much overtime each worker is gonna do in each quarter. Right? Now let's go to the salary calculation. And this is where it starts becoming very interesting. So one is you have to take a decision. Sorry, you have to take a decision of what is the salary I have to pay to my workers. So when I take a decision over here, this is the salary I have to pay to my assembly workers. So if I enter 12 euros as my salary for the assembly workers, then my salary for my machinist workers would be 65% of that. Right? So according to this table, the ratio of unskilled versus the skilled rate of pay is 65%. So that means if my assembly worker salary is 10 euros, my machinist workers salary would be 6.5 euros. Right? So in this case, my assembly worker salary was 12 euros. So in case of machinist, the salary would be 7.8 euros. Very simple, 0.65 of the 12 euros. Right? In case of Saturday, according to the table, it is mentioned that they are paid because of the overtime, they are paid at a basic plus 50%. So that means I multiply this for the number of hours they do on Saturday, I would pay them 1.5 times of my salaries on Monday to Friday, which is 7.8 into 1.5, which comes as 11.7. And in case of Sunday, I have to pay them a basic plus 100%. So I have multiplied the 7.8 by 2, which comes as my salary that I have to pay per hour on my Sunday. Further, on basis of this hours allocation that we just calculated, so they worked on 420 hours on Monday to Friday, 42 hours on Saturday, and 56 hours on Sunday. So if I just multiply this hours worked on each day multiplied by the wages per hour, I will get my wages that I have to pay them. So now if I sum them up, but I had worked them on shift level 2. So if I am working on a particular shift, there is a shift premium that we have to pay to the machinist. If I am working on single shift, there is 0 shift premium. But if I am working on double shift, there is a shift premium of 1/3. If I am working on triple shift, there is a shift premium of 2/3. So what is this shift premium now? So what is this shift premium?
It's the extra price that we have to pay if they're working.
Okay. So let's say my factory timings are 10 a.m. to, let's say, 6 p.m. Sorry. Right. This is my best timing in the date time for a factory operation. If I am doing single shift, I can work at this particular time only. But let's say if I am doing a double shift, then that means either one team has to work overnight or one team has to work early morning. Right? So of course we cannot pay the same. So at least one of the shift would be earning extra, would be earning a premium because of the difference or because of the time at which they have to operate. And we compensate them by this shift premium. Also, there is one more factor that is involved in the shift premium is that the workers that would be working in shift level 2, they would be, so the machines would be working, would be exaggerated more. So that means the machines would be, it would be difficult for them to operate machines compared to shift level 1. And then if we go to shift 3, it would be again more difficult. And that's why we have to give them a bonus, which is in case of shift level 2, it is 1/3 of the salary. In case of shift level 3, it is 2/3 of salary. So that means if I calculate the shift premium for this amount, I multiply this by 0.33 because this is shift level 2. If this was shift level 3, I would multiply it by 2/3. Right. For Saturday, I multiplied by, again, I multiplied by 0.33. For Sunday also, I multiplied by 0.33. And now sum of all this amount is my total wage that I have paid to my each machinist worker in this particular quarter to make him work for 518 hours to achieve this as my production supply. Is this machinist salary calculation clear?
Sir, you said that in case of shift 2 and shift 3, we need to pay a premium.
Correct.
Sir, let's say there are 2 shifts, so one shift will be in the normal time, right? So will you be paying the premium only to the second shift?
That's why that is why it is only 1/3, dear.
Okay, so only to the next
Yeah,
half
but
of the
for
second
the
half of
sake of the calculation, that's why it is but for the sake of the calculation, we multiply it by 0.33, right? You got the logic behind it, na?
Right, sir. Okay, got it.
So even in real life also, there are companies that are offer day shift and night shift. So the salaries in night shift are always higher compared to the day shift working. So that's the same logic that is working here. And accordingly, this is my total wage I get for my each machinist worker.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, this is the total wage for the second shift only, na?
So what you have to, that's why we have to, so if I am working on double shift, so I can have, this is, okay. What we have to see is we have multiplied it only by 1/3, dear. Hello?
Yes, sir, yes.
Yeah. So this is the average wage that comes out for each machinist workers, because in double shift, it would be happening that one would be working early and one would be working till late night. It's not gonna be in one day time. So the timings of both the, understand it this way, you have to assume that this is the wages that would be paid to both the shift workers.
But sir, why both? This should be the
Okay.
wage for the worker working in the second shift.
Again, this is just a way of explaining that why the shift premium is paid, right? But this premium is distributed for both the workers, because it could be a way, let's say,
Basically, what you are saying is, supposedly there are 2 employees. If a company which is operating on a single shift will pay supposedly 100 rupees to each.
correct.
So they pay 200. And if we are planning for double shift, we will be paying 200 plus 200 for the second shift, 400 and 33% premium. That will be like 133. So our total wage rate will be like 533 from
No.
200.
Okay, so if I am working on shift level 1, my salary, let's say, is 100 euros. So if I'm working on, if I'm working on shift level 1, if I'm working on shift level 2, my salary, even if everything is constant, would be 100 plus 33, right? Which comes as 133. If I'm working on shift level 3, it would be 167 for the same amount of 1 hour, for the same amount of work that is done by the workers.
And yeah, and take a case that we have 2 employees.
Yeah.
And then can you tell me the total salary that we'll be paying in each shift?
So this is how we calculated the total salary, na dear?
Sir,
I got the doubt. I got the doubt. The doubt that is, the doubt you have is that this premium should be paid to the one set of workers only, correct?
Yes.
Right. So that is why it is, we are only adding 1/3 into it. What you have to assume is that because of this provision, that bonus, this is automatically, so basically this is the average wages that we have paid to all the machinist workers.
Okay.
Did you got it or not?
Okay. So basically you are telling that this 33% premium that they have given in the table it is adjusted for both it is basically the average for both of them.
Basically, with this calculation, I get the average wages. You can assume that I get the average wage that I have paid to my each machinist workers.
So basically you are saying that 33% premium that they have mentioned in the table, that is for basically both the shift workers.
Correct. Because it could be happening that one would be starting early and one would be finishing late.
Okay.
Because if I'm, let's say, if I'm working on single shift, I might work from, let's say I might work from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., right? And probably if I'm working on double shift, I might start early. Let's say I start my factory at 6 a.m. So the first shift would work from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. right? And the second one would work from 2 p.m.
to 12 p.m.
10 p.m. So I have to pay the premium to both because they are working till late and they are working till early.
Okay.
You got it?
Okay. Yes.
So that's why what I tried to explain was that in case of shift 1, the hours are friendly, but in case of shift 2, the hours are not friendly.
Okay.
Did you got that now?
Yes, sir. It's clear now.
Okay. Any more doubt on this machinist calculation now? I'll give you a very interesting fact after this calculation now. I'll tell you what is a very beautiful anomaly is hidden in the simulator. I'll tell you right now. And that is a very important problem which you will face in the next round as well. All right. Now let's calculate our salary for our assembly workers as well. So if on this particular hours, so I took a decision of 12 hours as my wage rate. So that means on Monday to Friday, I would pay them 12 euros per hour. On Saturday, I have to again multiply it by 1.5 times, which makes it at 18. And on Sunday, I have to multiply it by 24. Now, according to this distribution, 420 hours they worked on Monday to Friday and 23 hours they worked on Saturday. So that means my net wages comes for Monday to Friday comes as 5,040 and for Saturday it comes as 414. Again, very basic maths. I've just multiplied it by 420 into 12 and 23 into 18. My total wages per assembly workers comes as 5,454 euros. Clearly, there is an HR problem in this because my wages for my skilled workers are coming lower than my wages for the unskilled workers. Is this possible, guys? Can we accept this as an HR department? Can you pay higher salaries to unskilled workers and lower salaries to skilled workers, especially when we are working in a variable pay environment?
Yes, sir. If the number of unskilled workers are more, so the total wages can be higher than the skilled workers.
No, total. We're not talking about total wages here. This is the wages that we have calculated per person.
Okay.
Yes, Nidhanshu, please go ahead.
So the workers are working in a double shift while the workers of assembly workers are only working in a single shift. That's why
But the workers working in double shift are different here. So not the same workers that work in shift 1 are not working in shift 2. That's why we are working with 32 workers. So again, that explanation is not valid.
But sir, they are also have to have difficulty in operating the machine. That's why they are paid a premium also. That's why their salary is higher than this.
Does not matter. But will you be taking, when you get into employment, would you be taking lower wages than your juniors? You would never accept that, right? So clearly, this was one problem that we landed up you with. Any other participant that wants to speak on this before? Because I'll tell you now what is the adjustment that automatically happens when this happens. Yes.
Sir, the machinists are working on even on Sundays and Saturday also they are working higher.
So assembly workers, you could, they don't mind working on Sundays. You could increase your assembly time.
Okay, sir.
Sir, it's mentioned in the manual also, like, if I'm not wrong, that if the machinist, like the per machinist wage is higher than the assembly workers per assembly workers wage, then the system will automatically adjust something like that. There was some mention about
So
that.
now this is what I wanted to come at. This is not possible, guys. This is not possible clearly because you cannot pay your skilled workers lower than your unskilled workers. In this case, the difference in wages is 718.53 euros. So that means each assembly worker would be paid additional 718.53 euros to make his salary equal to 76172.53 euros, which would increase my total wages by 15,090 euros without any work that I have made them to do. And again, even in this scenario, even when their wages are same as machinist workers, they would not be happy about it. They would probably leave your company. And this is probably one of the reasons why assembly workers are leaving from your company. Is this anomaly related to HR department clear? Any doubt on this now? Again, I'm going very basic right now. Yeah.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, please
Hi.
go ahead.
Sir, so like we can make decisions to increase the assembly wages, right? So by in fact increasing assembly wages, we are being aware of the fact that we are if we increase the assembly wages, we will become aware of the costs, and if we don't, we would not have been aware of the cost. That is what you are essentially trying to say, right?
No. What I'm trying to say is the problem is in this case, I am utilizing 100% of my machining capacity, but I'm only utilizing, let's say, out of 12,000, I'm only working for 9,000. I'm only utilizing, let's say, 80% of my assembly capacity. Right?
Okay.
Right. Now, because of this, my assembly wages per worker becomes low compared to my machinist workers. So clearly, this two needs to be matched so that there is a parity in the wages I pay to my machinist and my unskilled and my skilled workers. In this case, the parity was not there and the company had to pay an extra amount of 718 euros to each assembly workers to compensate for their lower wages. But at the same time, even after doing this, assembly workers would not be happy if the competitors in your market are looking for recruitment of assembly workers. These assembly workers would leave your company and join the other companies. So does that make sense now?
Yes, sir. So like 12 euros is the historical quarterly reports. 12 euros was the one, but like for example, if we change it to 13 euros or 14 euros, this problem can be taken care of, right?
But this would also increase, na then?
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, sir, got it.
The problem is this, not this.
Okay, sir, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any more doubt on this production capacity, production planning? So I told I would be spending some time over this. I told I would be discussing this in detail. Two more topics that I have to discuss with you guys. Very important topics, very interesting topics. But before I move further, any doubt on this now?
What are the scenarios in which workers can go on strike?
Again, this is one scenario. Other scenario is that we are not able to work them 100% and we are still recruiting more assembly workers. And there is one more scenario which I will not tell right now. Right?
And sir, any scenario, why does machinist workers leave? Like
If they don't,
in this sheet only,
if they don't get the overtime opportunity, they might leave your company. Because for them, their earnings is dependent on the number.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm not sure if it is only on my end, but it seems your voice is cracking. Is it for
Yes,
everyone?
sir. When you are
Maybe
explaining.
Yeah, it's
voice
cracking
was
for
shrinking.
everybody.
Okay. Now am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
but we missed the last two questions.
Okay. So
we
the
couldn't
last
follow.
question one was that what is the reason for strike, right? So
Yes, sir.
this is one reason for strike because of the improper pay parity between the machinist and assembly workers. So ideally, my assembly workers would be paid higher than the machinist workers. So if I am not able to execute it, my assembly workers might go on strike. Right?
Yes, sir.
And the second reason for strike would be that I am not utilizing my existing assembly workers to 100% and I am still going with the recruitment. So the existing workers would not be happy about it. And because in this case that, I am not able to help them, I am not helping them to earn 100% of their salaries. And instead I'm going to the market and recruiting more and reducing my salary budget, because if I recruit more, that means this hours of overtime would also be less, right? Which would save my salary expense, but also not make the assembly workers happy about it. So these are two reasons. There is one more reason, which is a very common sense reason, which I will not explain right now. Right?
And sir, why there is also one thing that while in the section that absentees of workers are sometimes higher in some rounds and sometimes it's low. So what is the reason for that?
It's a natural factor here. That is something that is happening. You cannot control that. Okay.
Sir, in the historical reports, we can see something like the total hours and the hours worked. There are two columns.
Yeah.
So let's suppose for assembly workers, okay, yeah. In this case, hours available according to 31 workers.
No,
They have,
it is available in accordance to the 17 assembly workers.
okay, sorry, yeah, sorry. According to 17 assembly workers, the total time available for assembly process was 9792, but actual hours worked was 8314. So in the next historical quarter, so in the next quarter, do we need to take some action on this also, like the percentage
Again,
of time lost?
it depends. Again, it depends on your production capacity. So you have to calculate the assembly time you require, right? And again, for next quarter, you had 21 workers. If you decide to recruit in this quarter, let's say I decide to recruit workers in 15 quarter 1, I can use these recruited workers only in 15 quarter 2.
Okay. But we cannot predict like the hours worked will be what percent of the hours available, like the maximum hours we have. Here in this case, we had 9792, but actually the work was done for only 8314 hours. So
Correct.
basically the assembly process was taken place for this many hours.
Correct.
So it was some percentage less than the
No, but you can
actual one.
calculate. So this can be calculated, right? Based on my production supply. So if I multiply this produced quantities with my assembly time,
Yeah, the process that you have just shown.
yeah, and convert them into hours, it would match as 8,314.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir, but we don't know how many will get rejected, so we can't calculate the produced thing.
Don't worry.
100%.
So you can go with the scheduled one only, and you can take a little margin.
So that one we have to analyze, like based on the historical reports, we had to analyze like.
Correct. You can always see that at least, let's say 1 or 2% if it's rejected. So you can take a margin of that.
Okay. Okay.
So even in real life, business cannot be 100%, guys. In production, there would always be rejected goods. There would always be lost or destroyed or something or the less. Right? Are we clear on production planning now?
Sir, when it comes to rejection, once again, it varies from quarter to quarter. So
Correct.
it has got anything to do with like, can we reduce reduce it, or is it also something that is beyond our control?
It is more or less beyond out of your control, dear.
Okay, sir.
Again, these are variables that give it a real life feeling. Right? This is what makes it, this is how they have tried to make it most realistic simulation that you could ever have by adding such variables. So some variables are beyond you. This is just a basic cost of production that is there, and it is there in the real life as well.
Right.
So you just have to deal with it.
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Sir, I have one more question.
Yeah.
There is one more thing that we can either purchase some new machines or sell older ones. There is
Correct.
one more thing.
Yeah.
So, like in the round one, in the qualification round, I had purchased some machines, like 4 machines I had purchased in the decision variable, but there was some star mark and only 2 machines were purchased. So I didn't understand what was that. Like I wanted 4 machines. Based on that, I calculated some sort of predictions I did, but I got only 2 machines, 2 new machines, not
It
4.
was due to space, but I will not explain that right now.
Okay.
If you'll do a detailed analysis on space, you'll figure out why it didn't happen. But again, I will not explain it right now.
Okay, got it.
Sir, what was the reason for machinist workers leaving? Like to
Sorry?
explain for the why were the machinist workers leaving?
Again, if
Like,
we are
what are
not
the
giving them
scenarios?
overtime opportunities, they might join other companies' organization if they are also recruiting. Because it's a dynamic simulation. So workers from your company could leave and join other companies. Right? Okay. Don't worry, I would be sharing this Excel sheet with you guys so that you can improve your models accordingly.
Okay.
Right. Let's move to the next part now. Very important part, product quality. And this is something we have been struggling to, take a good judgment call on this. And a lot of doubts had been here with the teams on this particular variables as well. So I'll explain them in detail. So one is you have to understand is there are 3 ways in which I can improve my product quality in this. One is through premium materials. So I can add a proportion of premium materials to my product to improve the quality of my products. Other ways by increasing the assembly time. So there are less rejected goods and the products are better assembled the more time we give them. And these 2 decisions are related, which is the product and product development department. So I will start with the assembly time one, which is the easiest one. Then I'll discuss the premium materials. And then I will discuss this department in a little detail. Right. Yeah. Any doubt? Okay. So let's say the minimum time that is specified by the table is 100 minutes of assembly for product 1, 150 minutes for product 2, and 300 minutes for product 3. So this is the minimum. Below this, I cannot go. But let's say I decide that, instead of 100, I would put 115 minutes for product 1, 165 minutes for product 2, and 325 minutes for product 3. So that means I am increasing my assembly time that I want to devote towards the assembly of each product. So that means I have paid this 15 minutes more for product 1, 15 minutes more for product 2, and 25 minutes for product 3. If I convert this into hours now, that means I have added my assembly time by 0.25 hours for each product 1, 0.25 hours on product 2, and 0.42 hours on product 3. Now, every improvement in quality would have a certain cost to it. Right? We cannot, even if this cannot be a one way wherein I keep on increasing my quality without increasing my selling price or without increasing my cost of production. So with every enhancement I make, there would be an increased cost to it, which we also have to account for. So if I multiply this with my assembly wages, that means in this case, which was 12 euros per hour. So I will get with the extra cost of production that would be incurred on assembly because of this increase in minimum time on assembly. So which comes as 3 euros per unit of product 1, 3 euros per unit of product 2, and 5 euros per unit of product 3. So that means if, and then now if I wanted to, now 1300 was the quantities which I took a decision to supply to the market. So I've summed up these quantities. This comes as 1300 for product 1. This comes as 950 for product 2. And this comes as 550 for product 3. Right. So if this was the quantity that I wanted to supply, my total increase in cost is 1300 into 3, 950 into 3, 550 into 5, which comes as 9,500 euros. Because of this increase in assembly time of 15 minutes per product, there would always be a certain cost associated to it, but it would also improve my product quality. Now, this is something that you have to weigh. So it should not be an abrupt. So I should not be an abrupt manager to increase it to 150, because everything we do would increase a certain cost. In this case, if I do it to 150, it would increase my cost to 10 euros per unit. So we have to take a judgmental and a fundamental cost in relation to the assembly time. So is this part clear? Is this assembly time part clear? Very basic. This is one way of improving my product quality by devoting more time towards the assembly of each product. But again, you should quantify the cost that it would impact to your, it would bring to your company. Right? Okay. Now let's understand how the premium materials work. Okay. So to understand premium materials, let's do it this way, that you have product 1 here, you have product 2 here, and you have product 3 here. So we know that product 1 requires 1 unit of raw materials, product 2 requires 2 units of raw materials, and product 3 requires 3 units of basic raw material for manufacturing. Now let's say I want to manufacture 100 quantities of each product. Right. So that means I need total raw materials I need is 100 into 1. So the total basic raw materials I need is 600 quantities, right? Very basic calculation. We have all realized it by now. And I would order these quantities in my decision state sheet over here. So I will order these in my materials to buy. So this is a decision wherein I will take a decision to procure my raw materials, right? Any doubt on this now till far? So far, any doubt on this? Okay. So now, let's say I decide that for product 1, I need 10% as my premium material content. For product 2, I need 20% as my premium material content. And let's say for product 3, I need 30% of my premium material content. Now, what would happen is that out of this 100, the basic required would be only 90 and the premium required would be 10. In case of this, the basic required would be only 160 and the premium required would be 40. In case of this, the basic required would be 210 and the premium required would be 90. The total raw material count would remain same, but it would be distributed between basic and premium based on the percentage that I have taken up. Right? Now what would happen is that this 90 basic goods would be mixed with 10 premium goods, and then the component that I would have of product 1 would have 10% premium material content. So it's like that I am buying a soap, which one soap is white color and one soap it comes with a flower smell or with a certain color to it. That adds more customer value to it. Right? So that is how the premium materials are working. Right? So is this calculation on premium materials clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very important a very important understanding that we have to take is that if I go with 0% premium material, I have to order a total quantity of 600 materials. But if I go with a premium material content, then I need only 460 quantities of basic raw material and I need 140 quantities of premium raw materials. Whenever you are taking a decision over here of ordering raw materials, you have to only order basic raw materials. The premium materials would be automatically bought on spot. So they would be automatically bought by the company. We don't have to take a decision. So that means if we are going with a premium material, we have to only order for 460 goods and not for 600 goods, right? Please make a note of it. It is mentioned in the manual, whatever I am mentioning, but this is very important for understanding. Right? Okay. Now let's do a financial analysis to this particular cost of, premium material, because understand, again, we are even though we are going with this percentage, it would improve the quality of our product, but it has a certain cost to it. And we as a senior management have to weigh whether that cost is it should be taken up or not, right? Now, if I say that, again, I take the same quantities that we took a decision of 1300, 950, 550. So these are the quantities I want to deliver. These are the materials. So simply for product 1, I multiplied by 1. For product 2, I multiplied by 2. For product 3, I multiplied by 3. So I need a total raw material as 4,850 units of raw materials. Let's say I decide 20, 40, 50 as my premium material content in this, right? So that means the basic I need is 3005 and the premium material I need is 1845. Now, if let's say I order these goods at spot price, that means I don't plan in advance planning. I do it. I'm now considering the inventory price for the spot. Now, inventory prices that are mentioned in the group information. So let's say if this is the price that is mentioned in 15 Q1 report, this is the price at this exchange rate would be applicable in my 15 Q2. So this is the price at which I would be procuring my materials. Again, very important note that this price is in US dollar and not in euro. So we have to change it to the euros as well. Right. So if this is my price in US dollar, which is 47,946, that means I will have to, so in euros, if I have to complete this in euros, I have to multiply it with my exchange rate and divide it. Okay. So what I have done is in this, I have already done that calculation with I have to convert this into euros and then divide it by 1000 and multiply it by my quantities that I require. Right? I'll do this again. I'll do this. So 47946 is my price for 1000 units. So if I divided it by 1000, I will get my cost of raw material per unit in US dollar. This I have to adjust it with my exchange rate as well. Exchange rate in this quarter was 0.90. So I have to convert it into euros as well. But for the sake of the calculation, I am not doing it. In the accounting, it would be converted into euros. But now if I am ordering 1040 goods, so I have to multiply this by 1040. So this is all in US dollars. I would convert it into euros. Probably I have done it in later, but this is all in US dollars, guys. So this is how I get my cost of basic raw material. Very simple, divided by 1000, multiplied by quantities. This is I get in US dollar. If I divide this by exchange rate, I will get it in euros as well. If I multiply it by exchange rate, I will get it in euros. Right? For premium material law, it is mentioned that the cost of raw material is 1.5 times of the spot price. So that means in case of premium material, the per unit cost would be 1.5 times of this, which comes as 71.9191 euros, 919 euros. And this, if I multiply it by 260 quantities for product 1, I get my premium material cost. Right. So my total cost in US dollar comes as 276,768 US dollars would be my cost of procurement if I go with this as my premium material percentage. Now, if I go with a 0% premium material percentage, let's say, that means I would only be ordering basic raw material. There would be no premium material content, and I would only have a basic material cost. And again, this is the cost multiplied by the total quantities. I get my total as 232,538 good. That means there is approximately, because of this premium, again, every quality has a cost attached to it. So you have to do this cost analysis before taking a decision. It is very easy to put any random figure in premium material, thinking that it would increase the quality of the product, but it would also increase your cost of production, which we have to also account to. So now what I have done is I have calculated the difference. I have subtracted this cost from, I have summed up this cost and subtracted it from this to know the difference that it is coming on each product. So it comes, so once I do this, and now which is coming as 49,144.7 US dollars. So basically, which is the difference between this and this. And now if I divided it by my respective quantity, that means because of this percentage, my cost of production of each in product 1 has increased by 5.3 euros. In case of product 2, it has increased by 21.3 euros. And in case of product 3, it is increased by approximately 40 euros. So clearly, we have to account for this increase in cost in our pricing as well. So is this premium materials clear now? Any doubt on this premium materials?
No, sir,
Yeah.
it's clear. It's clear.
Though the calculation that you have done is clear, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to understand the material prices also changes every quarter. So is there any indication that will give us an idea about what is going to be there in the next quarter?
So ideally from the economic information, so one is you cannot predict the material prices, what would be there. So it's a variable, that is being fluctuated in the market. So this is something beyond your control. You just have to deal with it. And again, that's the economic variable. That's the economic side. Even in real life, there are certain variables you cannot control. Like for example, when Government of India did demonetization, there was some, you cannot control that, right? So similarly, raw material is a price which you cannot control. But if the exchange rate, let's say, what you can assume is, what you can predict is that, let's say if my exchange rate is decreasing from 0.90 to 0.89, that means my cost of procurement would decrease, because I have to multiply it to convert it in euros. I have to multiply it by this price into my exchange rate. So at 0.90, the same price would cost me 43,000 euros per unit. But in case if the exchange rate decreases to 0.89, it would now cost me 42,671 euros, right? Because your accounting is taking place in euros, correct? So is your question answered now?
Yeah, correct. And secondly, I just want to understand, you have mentioned two parameters which increases the quality of the product. One is the premium material and one is the increase in assembly time. Correct. But is there any parameter that measures the quality? I mean, is there anything that can quantify?
There's one more left, not product development. This is most important. I will discuss this after this.
Your voice is breaking now.
Yeah, so this is product development is the decision that we have to talk upon, which I will do after the premium materials.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So again, this is very basic. I will share this Excel sheet with you, and this is something that we can now figure it out. I've given a little explanation of this. Please make a note that you only have to order for the basic. You don't have to take a decision for premium material. This is one way where a lot of teams struggled in the qualification round as well. Right. Moving forward, finally to the product development department, and this is probably the most important department by which you are improving the quality of your product. So stay with me, understand this. This is very important. Understand the process on how it happens, and then we'll talk about how it works. So let's say currently, I am using iPhone 13, let's say, right? and let's say it is, and I have the software version as that, let's say it is as 1. Let's say it is, I am using iOS. I don't know, but let's say I am using iOS 10 over here, let's say. Right. Now, whenever, let's say, and I'm giving an example right now. So whenever an Apple comes up with an update on the software, so let's say now they come up with an iOS 14, let's say, for example, iOS 11, let's say in this case. So they would automatically give it to, it would automatically show as a notification in my phone that software update is available. So I just have to update my phone and it would be automatically updated to the newer version of the software, which is like, but my hardware or my phone would remain the same. So this is kind of like a minor improvement on my product, right? But when, let's say, iPhone is launching a new product in the market, let's say it is launching iPhone 14, this is like a major improvement that the company has launched, or it has launched by launching it has virtually launched a new product in the market, which is like a major development on the product, because they would never launch a product with a basic software update, because the software update they can readily provide to the existing customers as well. But launching a new phone is like a major product. I can take another example of the industry. Like for example, let's say that I am let's say in the cement industry, or let's say a cement, maybe it is less eco-friendly. Let's say it is only 20% eco-friendly, right? I just improve the packaging of it. Let's say I just improve the packaging of it. So that's like a minor improvement of it, right? And now let's say I launch another cement product with, let's say, with 40% product in environmental friendliness. That's like a new product that I have developed, which is like a major improvement. So another, or let's say any example we can take. So there is always, for a company, there is always a minor improvement and there is a major improvement. So when I talk of a major, it's like launching a new product. But when I'm talking of a minor, it's like, a new update or something like that. So similarly, this is what is happening in this particular, section over here. So every quarter you decide a budget that you have to spend, you wish to spend with your product development department for each of your products. So let's say in this case, you decided to spend 25,000 euros on product 1 development. You decided to invest 15,000 euros on product 2 development, and you decided to spend product 3 15,000 euros on product 3 development. Now, based on the money that we spend in each quarter on product development, the R&D department would come up with an outcome. So it could come up with 3 possible outcomes. One is none. That means that we cannot achieve any improvement on our product. The other could be minor, that there was a minor improvement on the product. And the third could be a major, that we have a new, very major improvement, a new technical advancement is there. And it's like we have achieved a new product variant to our existing selling product. Now let's see that in the historical data format. Now this is all cumulative, guys. So what I have done is, so in this case, I have taken the 5 historical data. I have taken up the amount that was invested in each quarterly reports, and I have taken the outcomes that were reported in at the end of each quarter, right? So again, this was the information that was mentioned in your historical data that I have tried to capture here. So in the starting, in 14 Q1, the company invested 25,000 euros for product 1, 20,000 euros for product 2, and 15,000 euros for product 3. And it came, R&D department came up with a non-improvement for all the 3 products. In 14 quarter 2, the company again invested 25,000 euros for product 1, 20,000 euros for product 2, and 15,000 euros for product 3. It came up with again with a non-improvement for product 2 and product 3, but it came with a minor improvement for product 1. Now that means this minor improvement. So there is this, again, important note here, that this minor improvement is not only because of this 25,000, but because of this total 50,000 that was invested over the last 2 quarters, right? So it is a cumulative decision, not a one-time decision, right? Now you have a minor improvement. Now what is mentioned in the manual is that the minor improvements are automatically incorporated into the production cycle. So whenever, if let's say, if you have achieved a minor improvement in product 1 in 14 quarter 2, all the quantities that you would start selling in 14 quarter 3 would be all be delivered with this minor improvement, with this little minor improvement that you have achieved in quarter 2, right? Again, the company invested the same amount in quarter 3 and they again got a minor improvement in quarter 3. Important, it is not the same minor improvement that was reported in quarter 2. It is a minor improvement over the minor improvement reported in the quarter 2. So my product quality has further improved in quarter 3. Again, this is only possible because of this accumulation of the 75,000 euros that we invested in the product development within a company. And we have a major improvement for product 2. That means my product development department has come up with a new variant of product 2, which is highlighted by this major improvement. And then we have also achieved a minor improvement for product 3 in the 14 quarter 3. Now, when I am selling my products in 14 quarter 4, these minor improvements are automatically incorporated. So if I am selling this product in 14 quarter 4, my product 1 would also be having this minor improvement and my product 3 would also have this minor improvement. But this major improvement will only be implemented when I take this decision of take a product improvement. Right? Did you follow me, guys? So in this case, so this is a strategical decision that in which quarter the company wishes to launch its new product in the market. Now, the pros and cons of this are, which you have to weigh is, one is, if you launch a new product in the market, you would lose all your warehouse stock of that product in the market. Let's say if I take a decision to launch of this product to major improvement, I would lose, this would be sold at a lower valuation price and not at my selling price. So my warehouse stock would go to 0. On the other hand, launch of a new product would increase my demand in the market. And also I would have to have a first mover advantage in the group as well, because otherwise, probably in the group, I might not launch a major improvement. Other teams would. If they do, they might have an additional advantage in the demand. So launching, so it's like in real life, when a new phone comes up or a new technology comes up, there is always a rush in the market to try and test that new technology. So similarly, launching a major improvement in the market would have an improved performance on your demand in the market, right? Yes, I would be sharing the recording and I would be sharing this Excel sheet as well. So you don't have to worry about that. So, but what is given is, it is not necessary that I have to launch this major improvement in quarter 4. In this particular case, they didn't launch this improvement in 14 quarter 4, but the management decided to launch in 15 quarter 1. So whatever major improvements you have in historical data, you can launch it in whichever quarter you want to launch it. It is not mandatory that you have to launch it in this particular quarter. What we gave you with a major improvement in 15 quarter 1 of product 1 as well. So all the teams that did not launch a major in product 1 compared to the teams that launched a major of product 1 had a disadvantage in sales, because the teams that launched a major got a boost in their demand because they launched a new product in the market. So we cannot have a first major disadvantage to us by not launching this major improvements. It's a binary decision that we have to take. So you have to take this decision based on the historical data and not, right? So this is, and you can take a major improvement in any future quarters in which you feel appropriate. So let's say if you have a huge warehouse stock, so probably you might think that this is probably not the right time to launch this major improvement. So you might launch it in future quarters. So that's a strategical decision that you have to take. But firstly, is this major, minor, none clear now? And look at this strategical decision. So once they got a major decision, major outcome over here, the company reduced its budget to 14 quarter 4 because they already have a major which they have not implemented in this 14 quarter 4. So strategically, they reduced the cost of it. Is this major minor clear now?
Sir, I have a couple of doubts.
Yeah.
So if it is saying that we don't need any product development and it is showing none, so we can also do it like we don't spend any money on R&D budget. So that will not have any effect on our sales then also, because they are saying that they don't want any product improvement. That can be a way we can do things, right?
I didn't get that out here.
So suppose the outcome is like there is no, you don't need any product improvement. It's showing none, none, none for all the three
No, no,
products.
no. None means that, none does not mean that we don't need any product improvement. None means that there is no product improvement till thus far. So there is no, we have not been able to achieve any advancement on the previously product that we are selling. So probably we need more time or more funds to get a major or a minor improvement.
So the 14 quarter two, the 14 quarter two is showing that we have some minor improvements in product one.
Correct.
And in 14 quarter three, the product two is showing we have major improvements.
Correct.
Like, is it showing we have major improvements or is it showing we need to do major improvements?
We achieved. So in 14 quarter one, so let's say in 14 quarter one, I spent this amount on my product and development, right? This is a decision I took. And based on the amount you spent, this was the outcome that came. Right? I took a decision of investing this much amount in my product development, and this was the outcome that was given to me by my R&D department at the end of the quarter.
Okay.
Did you got it or not?
Okay, yes. So we can also do product improvements anytime in any quarter by our choice. Product improvement, I'm saying. Suppose I want to do product improvement in 14 quarter one.
No.
Because we have none improvement, so I can do a product improvement in
I have,
two.
forget this variable, dear. Right now, forget this variable. Understand these two decisions first. Forget this particular decision right now. The basic thing is that I spend some money in my product development department. My product development department can come up with three outcomes: none, minor, major. If it comes with none, that means there is no improvement on the product that I have been selling. If it's a minor improvement on the product that I've been selling. And if it's a major, that means I have a new product variant that I have available to sell in the market. If it is a minor, it is automatically incorporated in the product in my future sales. So that means in this particular case, when I spend this much amount in quarter two, I got a minor improvement for product one. Now this minor improvement was automatically incorporated with all my deliveries in 14 quarter three. So is this part clear till here?
Yes.
Right. Now again, I invested this money in quarter three. I again got a minor improvement for product one again. So this minor was already executed in 14 quarter three. Again, I had a minor which now got incorporated in 14 quarter four, right?
Okay.
But for product two, I achieved a major. Now this major is not automatically incorporated in 14 quarter four. If I have to launch this major, I have to take this decision of take a product improvement. In this particular case, in this historical data, instead of taking in 14 quarter four, they launched this major that they achieved in 14 quarter three in 15 quarter one by taking this particular decision.
Okay. So we are trying to improve our product till that point that it becomes major. So now we have to introduce a new product then.
Correct. So now when we launch a new product, so you have to weigh the cost of launching a new product. Yes, launching a new product would increase your demand in the market. It would give you a boost in the sales. But if you launch a new product, then all your existing warehouse stocks have to be scrapped off.
Yeah, I just had one more thing, like when should we launch a new product? Like that's what I was asking. Can we launch it in 14 quarter 2 when we have no product improvements, or is it only right to launch it when we have a major improvement in some product?
One is if so. Okay, so I got that out. So let's say your question is that let's say instead of 0 here, I had taken up one decision over here.
Yes.
Right. In this case, in some way, I am cheating with my customers in the market because I am launching, I am rebranding my product. I am relaunching a product without, and it is the same product. So there is no wow factor that I am giving to my customers, right? To the market, right?
But it's like maybe the customer will not know we have just announced we are launching a new product, and the sales can increase for that.
Yeah, but you also have to see that if you take this decision, you would lose your warehouse stock firstly, and then you might lose your customer because it is a non-improvement. You can do it. This is possible. That's a strategical decision that you have to take. Right. Similarly, you can use a minor improvement to create a buzz in the market that we are launching a new product. Again, it's a strategical decision that you have to take. But what is important is that in case of none, there is no improvement that can be done. Minors are automatically incorporated. Major, you have to decide when you want to implement it.
Okay, I got it.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, like this, let's take an example of 14 quarter 2. The R&D budget we have to decide like at the start of the quarter what budget we need to allocate to 20,000, 15,000. We have decided for the product 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Now, based on that R&D budget, at the end of the quarter, we have seen that there was minor improvement, non-improvement, and non-improvement in first, second, and third product respectively.
Correct.
So the decisions for product improvement, whether to take that improvement or not, will be for the next quarter, no? For
Correct.
14 quarter 3.
So when I am taking a product improvement, when I am filling up this decision in 14 quarter 3, I am filling up it with respect to my data till 14 quarter 2.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Any more doubt on this product development department?
Sir, what about the two major developments? Like if we don't choose to take a major development and another major development comes up.
Yeah. So let's say, so what is, let's do it this way. Let's say 15 quarter 1, sorry. 15 quarter 2. So you
sir,
had a
one like similar on the same line.
Yeah.
How is it related to the demand and how is it related to the price and development, major development?
Okay. So first, I'll take your first out first. So let's say in this case, you had a major improvement in 15 quarter 1. Generally, after a major improvement, generally you will have a none, and very rarely you would have a minor because already there has been a major improvement. So let's assume that it is a none improvement here. And let's say it is a minor improvement again. And let's say in 15 quarter 4, I have a major improvement, right? And you have 16 quarter 1. Now, let's say I don't launch this major in 15 quarter 2, 3, 4, because for whatsoever reason. Now, if I launch, but in 15 quarter 4, I have another major. Now, if I take up a product improvement in 16 quarter 1, both the majors would be launched together. Right? Does that answer your query, dear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second doubt was that with regard to demand. So whenever we are launching a major product in the market, it would always give us a boost in demand because there would always be a rush in the market to buy the new product, or, this is an improved product that has come up, right? But at the same time, it is all dependent on what your competitors are doing. So even if they are launching a product in the market, right? Again, you don't want to lose the first mover advantage, but it could be a situation that you have a huge warehouse stock and probably the cost of launching a new product, which would, it's way too high. So probably you have to take a senior management call, and you might have to resist launching a product in this particular quarter and launch it in the next quarter. So what we can say is that yes, launching of a new product would give you a huge boost in the market, would give you huge sales would increase your sales in the market, and probably this is the time wherein if let's say I am launching a major of a particular product, again, when I mentioned that it is the question of supply, I might have to increase my supply of that product into the market because I am launching a major in that particular product. And then if let's say, and then you can play your price war as well. Probably you could increase your prices coming up saying that I am launching a new product. But again, the system is dynamic. It depends on your competitors, because you would not be the only one launching a major improvement in the market. The others would be also launching it. And if they don't increase their price and you do, so probably you could have a negative impact on sales. So because it's a dynamic simulation, and you never know what is the strategy of the competitors would be. So that's a strategic call that you have to take. I can confirm two things. One is a major improvement would increase your sales, that is for sure. And probably you would have to increase your supply, maybe increase your marketing. So clearly, whenever a new product is launched by the company, they would always increase their marketing budget for that product. So you can take this decision of product marketing. Maybe this also has to increase when you are launching a product improvement. So that is your fundamental call at the end of the day. So I hope that answers your query, dear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt? Hello?
Minimum budget that we need to maintain. Hello, am I audible, sir?
So there is no minimum budget. You can put 0 also.
Okay, yeah. So we can change this value to less than 25,000 also, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is your strategical decision.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yes.
So, sir, when in the major section we have not launched a new product and we are just keep on like investing the budget in that product, and one more major comes and then we do the product improvement, so the product will get, then what will happen at that scenario? Suppose the product rating is 2 stars and then 2 major has come and then we launch the product, so will the product rating go to 3 star or
Again,
4
this
star?
is something you have to weigh as a senior management. In that case, you would be launching a product with 2 major improvements in one go. But you have to also see that there is other competitors in the market. They would also be launching that major improvement. So when you are launching 2 major improvements, they would have also launched it. So probably it would not give you any major outcome.
No, but it will match their product quality now.
Yeah,
Like-
but then they would take the advantage. So see, understand, you are only working for 5 quarters. So very rarely it would happen that you would achieve 2 majors for one product in the 5 quarters. Right?
Okay.
Okay. Surabhi, if you have any doubt for me. Okay. Any more doubt on this? Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask that. In one quarter, like for the product 1, in 14Q2 we have implemented and we've got minor development. So
Correct.
in the remaining quarters we can have none development, right?
I didn't get it there.
So in 14Q2, for product 1, there is one minor development that we've incorporated. But in 14Q3 and the remaining quarters as well, for product 1, we can have none also as a improvement if we're not.
Probably, let's say if I invest only, let's say if I had invested 10,000 euros, so this could have been a none as well.
And accordingly, the
But
R&D budget will
ideally,
also.
you would not like to have none. Ideally, you would like to have more and more majors and minors.
Yes. And but so accordingly, the R&D budget can also become zero since we're not making any development for the product.
Probably that's your call. But again, if we don't, if again you have to see the competitor's position as well. So maybe few teams in the group would be improving the quality of the product, so they would get the market advantage then. So ideally, as a senior management, you can never stop your product development department, because the moment you do that, the moment you stop investing in a product development, that is the time you have started declining your company.
Okay. Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other doubt, guys? Okay. One more topic, last topic. I'll try and quickly finish this, which is regarding the agents and distributors. So final topic for today's session, very important variable, agents and distributors. Just bear with me on this. Very important, very interesting, and a lot of fundamental decisions are associated to this. One is that okay. So this is our selling chain, right? So in case of Europe, the company sells its products to agents, and the agents are the ones that sells it to the customer. In case of NAFTA, we sell it to the distributors, and the distributors are the ones that sells it to the customer. And in case of internet, we are directly selling to the customer. So that means that the pricing that I am entering in Europe and NAFTA is for my agents and distributors. The pricing that I'm entering in my internet is for my customer. So this is something that we have to make a note of. This is very important. Right. Okay. So now I have a fundamental question over here with all the teams, that should my pricing in internet be lower than agent in Europe, or should it be higher?
Sir, it should be higher.
Correct.
So because when the European agents, like if you're selling it directly if you're selling at the same price, then people will more preferably buy from the internet only, and they will not buy from the agents and distributors.
My distribution channel would be totally finished. That is so my pricing for agent is a guy that is buying a volume quantity from me. So I have to give him a discount, and my pricing on internet would form my benchmark pricing for my customer, right? So you have to note of is that your agent, the pricing that you mentioned in Europe and NAFTA is for the agents and distributors, and the pricing you mentioned in internet is for the customer, right? Secondly, you decide you have to pay a support. So support is the fixed expense that you have to pay to each agent. So this is in euros that you decide, and you have to pay a commission. Now, what is important to note over here is, in case of Europe, you pay commission on orders. In case of distributors, in both NAFTA and internet, you pay commissions on sold to quantities. That means, if in case of the resource, if my European agent has got me more orders and I don't have quantities to sell them, let's say I have a backlog of orders, right? In that case also, I have to pay my agent a commission irrespective whether I sell a product or not. So clearly, I have to ensure that in Europe, I am able to achieve a good supply, because if my agent gets orders for me, I might have to end up paying the cost to it, because he would charge me a commission for it as per the agreement. So in agents, I will pay commission on orders, and in case of NAFTA and distributors, in NAFTA and internet, I will pay commission only on the sold to quantities. Now, this was my orders. This was my sold to quantities. This was my pricing of the product. This was the commission decision that I had taken up, right? So now I have just tried to calculate the commission that I have to pay to my each agent and distributor for each product. So very simple, 325 euros into orders for agent into commission percentage. In case of NAFTA, 335 euros into sold to quantities into commission percentage. and I get these as the value. So this is the total amount that I paid as my commission amount to my agents and distributors. Now what I have done is this figure. So this 224,180 euros is the commission I paid for selling for 930 orders that he got me. So that means if I divide this by 930, I will get the amount of commission that I have paid on per unit of my per quantity that I have sold in the market, right? And I have done the similar calculation for each product. So I have similarly just in case of NAFTA and internet, I have divided this with the sold to quantities. Because I have paid commission in NAFTA, I have paid commission on the sold to quantities, right? So basically for every unit that I have sold in internet or in Europe, I have paid 26 more euros to my agent in Europe as a commission for the selling of my product. So firstly, tell me if the calculation till here is clear with all the participants.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'll tell you, sorry. Now I'll tell you that there was a very big fundamental problem with this pricing, and I'll tell you right now. Okay. So that means, so this is my pricing that I have sold it to the agents in Europe, and this is the price that I have listed on my website, which is also available in Europe as well. So if you are a customer and if you see that on internet my product is priced at 375 euros and this agent who bought from me at 325 euros, he's selling to me at 340 euros. Will you buy it from agent or would you buy it from website?
Agent, sir.
You buy it. So clearly that means this is clearly this pricing is wrong, because in this case what I have done is I have given a margin of 50 euros on price difference to my European agent and a margin of 40 euros or price difference to my NAFTA distributor. Did you follow this or not, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you seeing that? So what is mentioned in the manual is that for an agent, this is his major source of income. Ideally, my agent should not be earning more than 26 euros on each product. But now, instead of this, he could sell my product at 355 euros, which would impact my business on internet. So in this case, he would earn 355 minus 325, right? He would earn 30 euros plus which is more than the plus, he would earn 30, sorry, plus he would also get a commission of 26 euros, which makes his earning as 56 euros. Now, what if I price my product in Europe on internet as 335, 490, or let's say 690? In this case, you know what I have done is I have reduced my pricing of internet. Sorry, this has to be. Right. In this case, I have reduced my price over the internet. I have not given him much profit margin on the selling of each product, so that so this is how you have to maintain your retail and wholesale selling segment as well. If this price difference is too high, there is no point of giving him commission because he would make money by the price difference, right? Did you understand it? So basically, I have listed that my product one is priced at 335 euros on internet. This is what my selling price to my customer is. Because you are buying in bulk from me, I can give it to you in, let's say, 330 euros or let's say 325 euros. But if I'm selling on internet at 375 euros and giving to him at 325 euros, this completely makes no sense. Do we all agree on this now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So this is how you have to agents and distributors. This is how you have to work. Very importantly, one more thing you have to remember is that when you are taking a decision on this, numbers needed. It is not the numbers you want to recruit, but it is the total number of agents that you want to employ. So for example, let's say in Q2, you had 5 agents in Europe and 3 agents in NAFTA. And now let's say in Q3, you want to have 7 agents in Europe, and let's say you want to have 4 agents in NAFTA. So the decision over here will not be 2 and 1. It would be 7 and 4. So make sure you don't do this error. Right?
Sir, could you please explain this last part?
Okay, so let's say in Q2, I have, okay. In Q2, let's say I have 5 agents in Europe and 3 agents in 3 distributors in NAFTA. And now in Q3, I want to increase it to 7 and 4, right? Then in the number needed, I would not put 2 and 1, right? I would put 7 and 4. Did you got it, or no?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So this is it from my side. I would be sharing this Excel sheet with you guys. I would be also sharing the recording with you guys of the session. If any participant would like to give a little feedback on the briefing session, whether this was helpful, whether this was informative, whether you enjoyed the session, we'll have more such sessions, more depth calculation, more depth analysis for the company. If any of you would like to give a feedback if this was helpful or not.
Yes, sir. May I go ahead?
Yeah, please, dear.
So, sir, I found the session very informative, and not just with respect to the calculations and everything, but otherwise also in general, there were fundamental learnings from the session. So thank you for that.
And you can use this spreadsheet now to improve your model. So we would be sharing this spreadsheet as well. Right? So thank you guys. If there are no more doubts, we can close this session. So this is briefing session 1. The briefing session 2, I will do after round 1. We'll do more depth analysis in that one. Let's go through the experience of round 1 first. And let's have the best team win the competition. So all the best. Thank you for being here. And I hope this helps you. I will share recording in some time. Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.